one of the things that I really enjoyed that you said was you understood what done meant.
Yeah.
Because that is something that software struggles with.
Yeah.
It's the definition of done, right? So what is the definition of done at PODS?
Well, with regard to what?
Just
software. Overall? What,
yeah.
with what?
Software, let's say
software. Oh, okay. So right now we're building a new system.
Okay.
And it's massive. It's a new ERP system, but I would even say it's bigger than that. I'd like to think of it more new ecosystem.
Okay.
So the foundation, we clearly have criteria that we can measure against for what done means, sort of on the initial launch, and it's quite a long list. In fact, I would say it's there's probably 500 lines of checkpoints and criteria that we're going to look at. But I think it has to start with the human who's going to be touching the system, right? I think that's one of the things early on. Early on I worked in real-time embedded software, so that there was no humans involved. But the first time I was involved with human-centered systems, it all starts there. It's like, how easy is it to use? Do they have to think? I love the Krug book, Don't Make Me Think. And, it all starts around user experience and no friction. And so I think the definition of done has to start with a human, like who's getting the utility and the significant value from it. And then there's who's supporting it. And so done means, is it sustainable? Does it operate? Is it autonomous? Is it self-correcting maybe? So there's quite a bit that goes into that. But then, and I was looking through your book, which I didn't realize you had a book for a while, and then I bought it on Kindle, by the way.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I'm a customer.
Woo.
And there's some good stuff in there. I was
my first book.
Yeah, that was great.
It's like a first product.
Yeah,
you just put it out.
I did a pretty quick read, and then there were some chapters that really just gripped, like the one on MVP, and spaghetti code. I was like, oh, that's great. But the one, I think you had a section there around, which I totally believe, that I think you talked about perfect is the enemy of good or something like that, which, that's kind of a popular phrase. But, that's something you have to think about when you think about done, because in some cases you'll never get done. And there's always that last, 10% or 15%, whatever the number is, that the return on the investment and the lost opportunity will just eat you alive if you don't really look out for it. So, I probably didn't get as detailed in an answer there, but I do think done has to be criteria, and good enough has to be there, and certainly whoever's touching, in the case of a software system, whoever's touching it has to be satisfied, and it's not just the customer, but you start with the customer.